This is a Friends Oceano Dunes information video titled APCD Lied, recorded April 2018.
We've heard the comment many times that, well, it's just sand. What's wrong with that? Crystalline silica is a common and abundant component of sand and wind-blown soils and dust. It can cause silicosis, which is a fibrotic lung disease, and it's a known and regulated lung cancer hazard in occupational settings.
Dominant on the days when we were exceeding the standards, it was predominantly silica, which is sand, essentially. And
My name is Paul Stoltman. I'm a resident of the Nipomo Mesa and a retired executive of the US EPA. We have now since 2010, we've been coming up here talking about fine particles, dust. And I think it's time for us to talk about crystalline silica. The majority of the dust is crystalline silica, respirable crystalline silica. And let me give you a few facts about that. The Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, in their October 21st, just in 2016, chemicals known to cause cancer have listed crystalline silica as a human carcinogen, not based on animal data, but based on human data.
Why didn't you release the data when you first got it?
Well, so when we looked at it, there was a new OSHA standard that came up, and the public was saying, we think we're seeing levels that might be exceeding that standard. So we went and got the OSHA monitoring devices to try and see, and it's a very weird standard, and try and see what those concentrations were. We only took 4 samples. And we saw, and the OSHA standard was like, I think it's 50 micrograms over 8 hours. And we saw, I think the highest one that we saw was maybe 20 micrograms over 8 hours. We saw one that was non-detect. We saw one that was down at like 10 or 5. But we only took 4 samples. And so, and we weren't doing a study. We weren't doing a public. We just wanted to get an idea to see if this was worth exploring. So, there was no reason to, if we were going to release the data, we would have wanted to have done a much broader study that would give us a much better understanding of what those concentrations.
Where did the idea come from in the first place to test for silica?
Because the public brought it up, and OSHA came up with a brand new standard of that 50 micrograms, and members of the public were coming to our board saying, well, you know, the concentrations that we're breathing down there, if there's a majority of it is crystalline silica, we're probably exceeding even the OSHA standard. And so we agreed to take a few samples out there.
There have been 3 independent studies performed that show that there's no silica coming from the SVRA that exceed the OSHA standard. Usually the samples indicate a non-detect. In essence, there is no silica coming from the Oceano Dunes SVRA. The APCD argument does not make sense. APCD has claimed for years that silica is the predominant source, and it is coming from the Oceano Dunes. 3 independent studies now show that the silica is not coming from the Oceano Dunes. This implies either the APCD lied to the public for years that the predominant source in the monitors was silica, or the APCD lied that the source of the silica was the Oceano Dunes SVRA, or the APCD lied about all the above. So which is it? Which did the APCD lie about? A, B, or C?